if you want to save energy, if you want to save time, if you want to score well, every few days you need to talk to your mentor. Nikhil sir is one of the most knowledgeable person, and he knows how to score well. He always update himself with the latest researches, the latest trends in the history subject, and he made the static history into a dynamic history, I should say. That was a big mistake I did. I took history for granted, that I have studied history, that I have masters, I have graduation, everything in history, I have cleared net. So I didn't make notes.
What kept you going with history for these 6 attempts?
I always wanted to finish my attempts as early as possible. Two things in your mind when you choose history, any optional. One is history really helped me to clear prelims with ease. The good part I'll tell you about this myth is that at least you can score decent marks in history. See, almost 50% of the paper I think is mostly repetitive. When I saw my result, immediately I called my parents. I said, I am into the list, that I have become an officer now. After a long time, they were crying. Wherever I go, I become a guide for my parents, and I start telling a lot about the place and all. And there were many foreign travelers. They used to attend the court of Sri Krishnaveni, and I would like to interact more with that foreign travelers, and his contribution to this art and literature.
Hello and welcome to UPSC podcast with LevelUp IAS. All of us know that history reveals our past. It helps us to understand who we are, where we come from, and can possibly reveal where are we heading to. And today I have someone with me who has been associated with history from past 10 years, I'll say. And today we have Ramareddipeta Rajnikanth with us, who secured All India rank 587 in UPSC CSE 2023. Welcome Rajnikanth to LevelUp IAS.
Thank you so much.
And after this podcast, all of you, the doubts that you have regarding history, should we take history as optional? How should we prepare for it? Or should we go with history? How lengthy is it? Or kitna tough hota hai dates remember karna? Ye sab cheeze, every myth is going to get busted after this conversation, I'm sure. So Rajnikanth, first of all, just tell us about yourself.
Myself Ramareddipeta Rajnikanth, and I'm from Kamareddy district, Telangana. I have secured All India rank 587 in this CSE 2023. My optional is history, and this was my 6th and final attempt, and I scored 267 marks in history optional. So, and I have given 3 mains in my 3rd mains, and finally I could be in the final list.
Great. Could you please tell us something about your educational background, from where you did your graduation and everything?
Yes, I did my schooling from my home state, that's Telangana, and my college from Sri Venkateshhwara College, University of Delhi, and my post-graduation from IGNO, and I also cleared UGC NET, and I also worked as a high school teacher in Hyderabad for 2 years. After that, I started my UPSC preparation.
That's such a great journey you had with history as a subject, I'll say. In 11th or 12th, what stream you had?
I had arts background, but I didn't study history during my 11th and 12th. I had civics, economics, and commerce.
Okay.
But however, it was very, surprising that I shifted to history.
Yes, I was going to ask you this only, that how then you shifted to history and why this subject came in your mind.
There's a small story, but I'll try to wind it up in few statements. I came to Delhi University for pursuing economics actually, but however, after coming to Delhi University, I came to know that you need mathematics in your +2, but which I didn't have. So then one of the teachers in Venkateshhwara College suggested me to take history. He said history is also very interesting subject and you have very good scope and all. Initially, I didn't realize, but I had to take art subject. Then I chose history. Though there were political science, geography, or other subjects, but I don't know. I accepted sir's advice. Then that's how I was into history.
So I would say that you landed accidentally into history, and then you ended up doing so great in the subject, I'll say.
True. I should also say that accidentally I landed again. But however, after some time, I started liking history so much that I kept history as my optional subject for these many years.
Yes, I was coming to this only, that you studied in graduation about history and everything in history. Then in post-graduation, you did history. After that, you prepared for UGC. So, from where I'm sure that after studying this long with history, that you are going to take history optional. Was it there in your mind from your first attempt only, and what and why UPSC first of all, before like we come to this?
Okay, the first, like, why UPSC? That has been my childhood dream. That childhood, I won't say that when I was in my 9th or 10th class, that I was attracted to social studies. Then I started reading more about parliament and all, this bureaucracy. So that attracted me, and I used to read newspapers. Then I used to, read about district collectors, district SPs. So every day I used to read about them, and the work they do, and how you are associated with the government, for making
So
laws.
you were doing all these things when you were in school only?
When I was in 10th class, I got, got to know more about this kind of job. So like how they are associated with the government, that attracted me. So I wanted, like, I wanted to be part of government, to make laws, to implement laws and all. So, and also social service, the major aim is to be, to do social service, especially to the vulnerable sections. And that's how I started. I had that in my mind. Then
And who told you about UPSC? How did you come to know about it?
I came to know about UPSC when I was in my +2. I used to read newspapers. So during results, the final results, that used to come, with big headlines in the first page itself.
12th results?
No, I'm talking about the UPSC results.
Okay.
So when there were UPSC results every year, that comes with that All India rank and the big headlines and coaching centers.
Right.
And they used to advertisement. I used to read Hindu newspaper since my 12th class. So there, from then I decided, okay, let's do this. Let's sit for this examination. And that's the reason I wanted to choose economics again as my optional actually. But however, history became one of my favorite subjects.
History had to be in your fate, I would say. So you came to Delhi with UPSC in your mind, that you're going to appear for civil services. Okay, great. So when you started preparing for UPSC, you saw history as an optional. So everybody who's just watching this podcast, they would want to know that what all factors they should keep in their mind before they choose optional. Because you chose optional because you had the background. But what else can be there?
I should say there should be two things in your mind when you choose history, any optional. One is your deep interest in the subject, deep interest as well as your expertise in that subject, I should say. I choose history because already I have studied it for more than five years, by the time I started my preparation. One is that. And another reason is the strategy, that history really helped me to clear prelims with ease. So I should say at least you have that 15 to 20 questions every year in prelims examination from history subject, and that give me an edge. If you're not good at other subject, but if you have expertise in one or two subject, that can really help to score better, like much better than the cutoff. So that again, and one more reason is that it also helped me in my essay, my ethics paper as well. So this strategically, I choose history. One is my deep interest and knowledge in history, and the second reason is the edge you get in your prelims and your mains examination.
So I was coming to this question only, that you talked about history has its own benefits and GS also. So I just want to ask how history as a subject was different in GS and in optional, and how has it helped you in both?
When it comes to GS history, they try to test your decent understanding of history, a good understanding of our background, our past. That is especially Indian history. They'll try to know what happened in our past. But however, when it comes to optional, here you need to understand in a critical manner. You need to see both sides of the coin. That is what you study in history optional. You read more about historiography. You read more about scholars, their theories, and here again you need to have that critical understanding. That is what. Whereas in GS, you just answer the questions directly. Maybe sometimes they may ask you, critical understanding, but there it is very rarely. You need to have very decent knowledge for GS. However, you need expertise in history subject when it comes to history optional.
So one thing I've noticed in history, that you should have a knowledge of facts when you're talking about history in GS, in mains also and in prelims also. You should have that factual knowledge. So is it the same with the optional also, that you should be learning more and more facts in history? Because maybe this is one factor that is keeping the students away from taking history as an optional, because they have this thought in their mind that you have to learn more facts when you're writing the optional. So is it that?
See, I think facts are required. I don't say they are not completely not required in this examination, for optional. However, you need to balance both facts, theories. that's historiography along with your own analysis. This is a combination. It is not just like you just quote all the facts. You may not. You just quote scholars. You will not, unless until you write your opinion or your analysis about that question. So it is not just about facts. Maybe some facts are required to substantiate. See, fact also means the names of the scholars and dates wherever required. Not necessarily, but wherever required. If you are, for example, you take your there is a question on Harappan civilization. In the introduction, you can mention the mature. If you are asking about mature Harappan, just mention from when it started, just like 2600 BC, if not 2500, not exactly the time, the exact date. Approx dates also they will accept, but not complete. The false data, false dates you cannot quote.
And वो आप GS में पढ़ते ही हैं
Yes.
prelims में, तो that is I think somewhere is going to help
Yes.
those who have taken history optional. Talking about historiography, since you talked about it, so how important and how should one who's thinking of preparing for optional, what sources they should take for historiography, और क्या sources रहना चाहिए history optional के?
So historiography is very, very important, because if you want to stop in history optional, if you want to score more than 140 or 150 or 130, even at least if you want to score more than 130 or 120 also, if I should say, till 100, 110 you can score without historiography, without quoting scholars. But when it comes to topping this optional, historiography plays a very major role. And the sources you have to use for historiography is the first standard books. For example, take ancient India. You have the famous book, Upinder Singh ma'am's book, the early Indian history. Then you also have R.S. Sharma, not the NCERT but the standard book you have. Then you have you have Ranbir Chakrabarti, you have D.D. Kosambi, you have many other books. Then for modern India, you have this Satish Satish Bandyopadhyay's, like Shekhar Bandyopadhyay's book you have. Then you also have this what you call Bipin Chandra's book also. That is the big one, not the NCERT. Again, you have the standard one, the books where you have there you try to take the names and make notes out of it, instead of underlining in the book. Try to make notes out of these standard books and revise them regularly, because you may tend to forget the names very easily and you may get confused also. So you can use standard books. Again, along with that, there are many institute materials where they have extensively covered this kind of historiography. There are the major institutes who are into history optional, they have already covered with their materials. So you can also use standard. Along with that, I can also say that IGNOU MA notes, especially MA notes, not BA notes, IGNOU MA notes for all the papers, like for both the papers, all the topics, you have extensive historiography. They have quoted all the scholars, all the theories. So you can use selective reading of IGNOU MA material along with the standard books.
Rajnikanth, you told about your connection with history, and you told that it was your last attempt and you got clear and you cleared it. So I want to know what kept you going with history for these 6 attempts. Like बहुत ज़्यादा time हो जाता है, and you feel sometimes लगता भी होगा that I need to change the optional. But why did you kept on studying history for all these 6 attempts?
As I've said earlier, that my expertise in the subject, I don't want to deviate. And again, the edge I have in my prelims. Every year I was scoring well in the paper once or like two times I scored less because of other factors. But history, however, I was doing very well. And secondly, you will have decent score in your GS mains and your history option. I mean the optional also. So you can expect very decent score. So why should I go for other subjects when I'm already having very good edge over with this subject?
But then sometimes you must have felt very demotivated also when you saw the results of your when you wrote the first mains when you wrote. So what kept you motivating? Was there any other factor also that played role?
One reason is that I had very little time for the other options. If I have to shift to other options, again I have to spend 6 months, 1 year into the optional, which I cannot afford, as I was clearing prelims after that. And for the next mains also, for the next prelims I had very little time actually, 4 months of time. If I have to change, then I have to take 1 year break, which I don't want to. I always wanted to finish my attempts as early as possible so that I'll have enough energy. If I don't get into the list, I should have good energy enough to to secure my second backup plan. So I wanted to finish, I wanted to give my exam consecutively, so I don't want to take a break. So that was another reason to continue with history optional.
And in history, when should one start writing answers? Because answer writing, I know it plays an important role. So after just you've started studying for history as your optional, so then only you should start, when you should start writing answers?
It depends. If you are from non-history background, I think you should start writing for the first day, as at least from the time you finish the syllabus. Maybe initially you go for the coaching or your self preparation, you finish the syllabus. After that, you may start writing. If not, if you're already from history background, then start writing attempting PYQs. Anyway, once you have graduated in history and most of the syllabus is again matches with your history optional syllabus, then start writing. So that, because when it comes to our history background, the way we write in our academics is different. We use paragraphs, and we use, the question is for 5-6 pages and not for 1 or 1.5 page. So we tend to write more and in detail, and you write some nonsense also sometimes.
Sometimes you just beat around the bush.
Yeah, beat around the bush. Then that's not how you have to write here, and you need to limit the words. So you start practicing as soon as you start your optional preparation.
So in history optional also you're supposed to write to the points, and you should write the answers in points. Is that the case with history?
You can write paragraphs also, but that a paragraph should be very concise. Should be around 3 to 4 lines only, not like 5, 6 or 8 lines or 10 lines. The reason is that it will make the work of the evaluator very easy. He can know what you are writing in the answer. He can easily, and that can fetch you more marks. The probability of getting a high score through bullet points is high compared to these paragraphs. That is the reason. However, there is no any compulsion to write. If you're comfortable in paragraph, but make sure that you convey your answer very easily. That is the major point.
And role of highlighting something in the answers and drawing maps, what is required?
Along with that, you need to have more number of maps, because especially in the paper 1, when it comes to ancient and medieval India, art and culture, you can just draw that diagrams. For example, when it comes to temple question, you can just draw that temple diagram. Then you can show the locations of the temple sites or ancient sites when it comes to ancient questions. So even in modern India also, when they talk about some for example, there was a question on Tipu Sultan and all, you can just show Mysore kingdom. That shows that you have a good understanding of that chapter.
Yeah.
So if you do not show map, it won't reflect your complete understanding.
And that is somewhere, I think, making the answer interesting also.
Interesting, true.
And talking about the role of PYQs, how important is the analysis of PYQs in history as an optional?
See, almost 50% of the paper, I think, is mostly repetitive. Because
really?
It's fixed. Yeah. They may change, they may twist the question. The question is from the particular chapter and the particular theme. For example, you can take Gupta period. They can definitely ask you, is it a golden age? Or they can ask you the art and architecture during Gupta period. These are because when they talk about golden age, they are talking about arts, architecture, literature. So these are expected things, and only these are major themes. It cannot go beyond this also. So there are fixed themes and fixed questions. And I said 50%, I can say, or 60% sometimes, and because it's a fixed syllabus. Almost it's fixed, and already it's been like many years they have been asking questions.
And I think the best part is with history is that history never changes. It is there only, it is fixed only, and you just have to.
Though there will be new researches, new excavations, explorations, that is very rare, very less and very rare. And it is strict to few areas of the history. For example, Harappan civilization, there are more excavation. When it comes to Aryan civilization and all, it is almost fixed, like Vedas and all. So in only few areas you can expect new questions. Like Harappan, they try to have new researches, like new trends. Like for example, there was this monsoon theory recently, they propagated by some historians, that the reason for the downfall of the Harappan civilization, that there is some new researchers which said that monsoon linked, because of high monsoon, more rainfall, there were floods and all, the changes in the seasons and all. So that's how new research, that is very rarely.
So how did you incorporate either current affairs and things that were related to history to your optional subject?
So that is what I said. If you should have some current affairs, related to history optional, which you can fetch you more marks. If you try to quote the new researchers in your answers, even they are not asking you, the teachers are very enthusiastic that the history students should keep learning new trends in history. That will make difference between your answer and the others answers. So
And PYQs of how many years you should be doing?
last 5 to 10 years, last 10 years, because there is a small change in the way the questions are asked. So the last 5 to 10 years can give you the repetitive questions as well as the way questions are asked.
And the role of mock tests in this preparation, mock test of the optional mainly.
Yeah, to test your changing your presentation, whether you have changed your presentation, if you're coming from history background, if you're coming from non-history background, again to test your knowledge in history. For that reason, you need to give test series at least before the prelims examination and not just before after examination prelims.
So it is important to have
Yes,
the
very
test.
important.
And while you were studying and while you were making notes, note coming pe I just wanted to come, like how you should be making notes for history. Should it be like एक बार पढ़ते ही आपको notes बनाने हैं, या how did you make it?
Yeah, initially, actually, that was a big mistake I did. I took history for granted, that I have studied history, that I have masters, I have graduation, everything in history, I have cleared net. So I didn't make notes. So that was the reason for less substantiation and other things. So after that, I started making notes where I used to quote scholars, facts, data, and other things. But however, you should start making notes after first or second reading. Then only you will come to know okay, what actually you need to note down and what you need to avoid. Otherwise, you will try to make another textbook. Instead of making notes, you will create another textbook there. So after first or second reading, if you are coming from history background, after first reading, you can start making notes and you just after one revision. But from non-history background, I think you give 2 readings, then you will have very good understanding what is required for examination. Then that would make your notes very crispy.
And I just want to ask you, like, which phase in history was your favorite and which part was your favorite and which part you were like very excited to study and read also?
My favorite part of history is ancient India because of excavations and that new researchers related to Harappan civilization or the Cholas, the South Indian history also, that wars and the battles, that really attracted me. And I used to watch some historical movies like Troy, then the other
Trojan
movie called
Horse.
then we have this
300
three
Spartans.
Spartan, the 300 movie,
Okay,
that
okay.
is again.
So if you're given a chance, hypothetically, I'm just asking, if you're given a chance to go back to those ancient period, and relive one phase of any ruler, so who would that be?
As a person?
As a person, yes. First as a person and then as a ruler, I'm going to ask you, whom would you...
During which period, like I would like
ancient,
to live in, maybe?
Any period in ancient history, like with the Guptas, Mauryas, or...
during the age of Buddha, maybe. I would like to know more about Buddha and that Buddhism and the second urbanization. That was the time when we started having cities and towns. After Harappan civilization, after a very long time, we started having cities then. So during the Buddha, and there were many changes happening during that period, like new caste system was becoming rigid. The Kshatriyas becoming popular, Vaishyas becoming popular.
Right.
So that was a very interesting period.
And as a rural ruler also, in early medieval history or ancient history, mein, wo kaun sa rahega?
I would like to be I like to be like Sri Krishnaveni Raya during the medieval period.
Okay.
And that is very interesting because during that period, there were many foreign travelers. They used to attend the court of Sri Krishnaveni Raya, and I would like to interact more with that foreign travelers and his contribution to this art and literature, everything, this architecture and all, especially the culture, the South Indian culture developed a lot during that period.
Absolutely.
Maybe that would be.
So ऐसा होता होगा ना कभी that you have now you have knowledge about history and every historical event and anything. So whenever you are going out with your family or with friends, you might relate it with the kind of things you have studied in your optional also while you were preparing for it. तो आप उनको बताते होंगे कि देखो this is related to this period and this is the story behind it. तो एक ये benefit होता था.
Yes, lot. Like wherever I go, I become a guide for my parents, and I start telling a lot about the place and all. And in regular also, I used to have good conversation with my father and my mother. Like I used to tell them all the stories I have learned in history. So all interesting facts about history, that why should we learn history and how you improve your understanding of the society after reading. So I have given a lot of knowledge to my father also. So I've transferred my knowledge. And that is very interesting to talk also when you sit with your parents, na? So because of my history subject, maybe other subject you may not be, like for example, take other subjects like economy, or they won't be much interesting in all this thing, mathematics or science, physics, chemistry. At that age they are not interested, but when they are more interested about this Puranas, Vedas, Buddha and all. So
and everything I think which is happening currently also, it has a history. Whatever is happening in the international forum also, world history you must have studied, तो उसके बारे में भी there must have been a story that you know, और after, और ये benefit भी है history पढ़ने का कि हर एक चीज़ का एक history है. You just talked about your parents. I just want to know when the results came and when you saw your name in that PDF after so many years. So how was the reaction at home and what was their reaction?
Actually, I was very afraid to be at home during the results. So I stayed in Delhi only in my room. I was so nervous, very nervous, because I have no attempts left now. Though I have energy, but I don't have attempts left now. If I don't see my name in the PDF, and my parents were also very much, worried that if what would be happen if they are worried more about my personal life. I mean, my mental life, the thing and all that, how we will accept the results and all. So, but when I saw my result, like immediately I called my parents. I said, I am into the list that I have become an officer now. After a long time, they were crying. They weren't thanking me actually, that for all my persistence, like my consistency, my perseverance and all, that I did not give up even after, facing a lot of health issues in the beginning of my journey and all. So they were mostly like very overwhelming.
I heard that you just said they weren't thanking me, they were thanking God कि भगवान इसका कर दिया. मुझे वो लगा कि ऐसा बोल रहा हो.
Like they were thanking me actually for all my hard work and all. And I was thanking them. I was thanking them for the consistent support, financially, mentally, morally, all the way they have been with me, and I never faced any issue toward my preparation.
So I just want to know that history may, when you just start preparing for it, the map questions also. So how you dealt with the map questions and are they scoring?
Seriously, map is very important to score well in paper 1. I think your map will decide your total overall score in paper 1. If you get majority of the sites good, then definitely you can score more than 130, 140. If you get your map wrong, then you will be in 100 or 110, and I did that. Like I faced that issue. So when I got my map well, then I scored 135 in my paper 1. So and most of the people also, those who are scoring well in their map, they're scoring well, very well.
How did you prepare for the map?
I had a different strategy and a separate strategy for map. One is first I went through all the basic maps given in Upendra Singh map book and the R. S. Sharma and other standard books. Then I referred one of the institutes material where they have compiled all the sites along with the maps and all. So I've gone through them also. So I used both of them and I practiced a lot. I took outline and political maps and I used to locate sites and I used to write. So practice again.
So practice ultimately is the key for it.
Definitely have to practice.
So you just, I know that Rajnikanth cleared UGC NET also. So I want to know from you, how important is it to have a plan B in your this journey of UPSC? So you were somewhere thinking of going to the academics also, maybe because you have pursued the UGC NET. So how important is it to have it?
It is very important because this journey is very uncertain and also very tough. All the 3 stages have become very tough because of the increasing competition. The competition has increased a lot. The sources, even a person sitting in the remote area of the country can also access to now Telegram channels, the material PDFs and all. For that reason, you need to work very hard now. So keeping in that, keeping that uncertainty and that toughness of this examination, it is better you have another plan B. If you don't clear this examination, then you should be able to settle well in the other, because now once you spend a lot of years here, then your confidence will go down if you don't earn well after this examination. So I think you should able to earn well after your this UPSC attempts. For that reason, start having backup plan as soon as you start your UPSC journey.
Yes, and I think with history, it's like आप prelims में भी history पढ़ रहे हो, आपने जिसने optional लिया है वो optional में भी history पढ़ रहे हो, आप mains में भी history पढ़ रहे हो, then obviously you and आपने masters भी जिसने भी किया हुआ है, तो history provides you that plan B somewhere of going to the academics also, right? Yes. Other than this, I just want to ask you one more thing, which is about the role of mentors in this preparation of UPSC and in your optional also, because you said you haven't taken the classes from anywhere and you prepared it on your own, but what was the role of mentors in this preparation of yours?
Mentors or guidance is very, like, I think more than anything that would make a very big difference in your those who are clearing and those who are not clearing. The mentor can be anybody. Maybe your senior, maybe some successful candidates, maybe the teachers, the faculties, anybody. But since the beginning of your preparation, if you want to save energy, if you want to save time, if you want to score well, I think every day it is necessary, at least every few days you need to talk to your mentor, ask them what to read, how to read, and what to do after reading, how to make notes, how to revise, and what type of test series you should join. And all this will become very easy. You will be very comfortable in this journey if you really have a very good mentor.
So whom you had as your mentor?
When I started my journey, a few of my friends who have already cleared prelims and mains, they were there. After that, I have other faculty members like in Delhi and Hyderabad as my mentors.
Okay, talking about the role of syllabus in this optional history. So how to decode the syllabus of history and how important is it to do that?
Yes, initially the syllabus of history looks very large, lengthy. But that's what, if you have a mentor and or a senior who have cleared or somebody, they'll tell you that though this looks lengthy, there are again certain themes from where the questions are asked. No need to read each and every part mentioned in your syllabus. So better you sit with your mentor when you start reading the syllabus. They'll tell you and mark down what is required from this syllabus and stick to that part only. No need to, you can avoid a lot of things in this history syllabus. There are many areas which will not be asked. They are there only for the understanding of oral history and not for the direct examination.
Right. So I have this concept, this segment of busting the myths. So we have few myths related to history, और history में ही काफी ज़्यादा myths होते हैं जो students के दिमाग में रहते हैं. The first one is that the syllabus of history in UPSC is very lengthy. So what would be your take in that?
That is what I have said, that though it looks lengthy, it is lengthy. The syllabus is lengthy, but however, not all the topics are asked in the examination. Not all the themes or all the sub-themes, every point mentioned will not be asked. That is just for your overall understanding of history, just for the first reading. You may go through all the chapters. However, when it comes to the second or third reading, the syllabus will become very concise, it will be very limited, and you can easily do it in 6 months or 1 year. You can easily finish overall test series, reading second revision, third revision in a very less time.
So it's quite doable also.
Yes.
ऐसा नहीं है, right? And the second myth is that काफी कम scoring होता है, history का result अच्छा नहीं आता है, and it is less scoring. So आप उसका
maybe sometimes that can happen, but not every time. That happens with other subjects also. You talk to political science students, or maybe anthro also, people are scoring less. That can be to an extent, but that is not really happen. I mean, that will make a big difference. The good part I'll tell you about this myth is that at least you can score decent marks in history. If you go with you can score 230, 240, 250, not like 150 or 160 with both the papers. You can score well, which can make you land in the list. So that is again there. And every year you have toppers who are scoring 280, 290, 300. You go with data, not with the myths, and go with the data that there are people who are scoring well. That is what you need strategy. Especially when it comes to paper one, you have to do that map well. If you're not doing map well, then less chances of scoring well.
Yes, yes. And the other one is that history is very boring and आपको बहुत कुछ रट्टा मारना पड़ता है बहुत चीज़ों में. And I get bored while I study history. I have heard this from aspirants. So how?
It will be boring if you read it yourself. But when there is a teacher or somebody who has done that, now if you start asking me, I'll tell you very interesting facts about history, which will make you occupied throughout the day. I think that is because of lack of good mentor, teacher, or you are without your good understanding of history. So if once you understand it very well, then it becomes very interesting. It's more about understanding. It's not just reading in the lines. You need to read between the lines.
Exactly. You talked about being a teacher, and you yourself were a teacher for 2 years. So could you please share with us your experience of teaching? What all things you noticed there?
Yeah, I worked as a social studies teacher. I used to teach 8th, 9th and 10th in ICSE and CBSE schools. So the students initially they were not attracted to social studies actually. I know this is not praising myself, but I should say that generally many of the students were not attracted to these days actually, because this is the digital age. People are more attracted to science, maths and other subjects, chemistry or all these things, but less interest in arts these days. However, when I started connecting social studies with the society, so their day-to-day life. So when I used to teach, I used to say that when I used to teach civics, I used to talk about their how when they go out, when they travel, how you interact, like when you travel on road, how to follow the traffic rules. That is part of your civics. Then when you talk to the senior, what you called some bureaucrats and all the necessary things you have to follow, that you learn in civic sense, that civic subject. In history, I used to connect with when I talk about Harappan civilization, I used to connect with the present day urbanization. So that what we have today, they already had it, that underground drainage, or that duplex, triplex, what we have today as
अभी तो
modern
underground
houses.
drainage कुछ जगह पे है भी नहीं, which they had
And most
back
of the
then.
sites at that time they had undergrounds, and there were manholes, at frequent places. So that's how you make it interesting, and you don't teach that Harappan civilization is there, they will not listen. You need to connect with the society.
Right. So that is one of the benefits of having history as your good background. So let's just do the SWOT analysis of history. Like what are its benefits and what are the pros and cons of history? So you can talk about it.
Some pros of studying history is that one is it will help you in prelims. As I said, it will help you in mains, GS, ethics, essay writing, and in that is. And thirdly, you will have decent score, at least 240, 250, 260, which can make you land in that final PDF. Again, lot of materials are also available. Fixed syllabus is a major pros of this, like fixed syllabus, and many repetitive questions. Almost 50% of the question paper will be repetitive. So you going through the PYQs can easily cover your syllabus and all. Some negatives I should talk about is it can be boring if you do not have a mentor. Then writing the question and other answers is sometimes boring because it's mostly the facts, data, that and all theoretically, and writing can be a little initially, unless until you develop that interest, though writing will be boring because other subjects, because they'll feel that they already know the subject, something about the subject, so don't feel like writing. If it is a new subject, they will start writing. So that is one there. Then maybe without historiography and all, it is difficult to score in history. I think historiography, that map sections and all, so you need to have a very good strategy. Without strategy, the chances of scoring in history is very less. So these three negatives I can, the cons I can say of
So after talking to you in detail about history, I just got to know that history is everywhere. History, I was thinking while you were answering me something, that history is there in your prelims, history is there in your mains, history as an optional is going to help you. तो अगर हिस्ट्री ऑप्शनल में कुछ ना भी आ रहा होगा तो भी आपने मेंस में कहीं तो पढ़ा होगा उसको कुछ भी, और मेंस में कुछ नहीं आ रहा होगा तो ऑप्शनल में कहीं भी पढ़ा होगा. So I think this is one of the biggest advantage that you have when you studied history. So, Rajnikanth, finally you are in the list. So, how are you going to implement what you have already studied in history? When you are going to get the allocated service, तो उधर आप कैसे अपनी इस knowledge को implement करेंगे?
See, we study, when it comes to ancient India, we talk about the caste system and all. We study in detail. Then, when it comes to modern India, we all study about, the poverty, the exploitation of the Indian nation. Then all this we always have in my mind that I have to do something for the nation. Then especially to deal with the vulnerable sections, those who have left behind throughout our history. It can be Dalits or women. It can be the old age people. All who have who were sidelined throughout our history. So I'll try to uplift those kind of people. Whenever I get a chance, I'll try to do the best for the nation. To try to save money for the nation, try to use the money in efficient way, whatever the budget I will get for the service. So that's how I'm going to do that.
I think, that's very thoughtful of you. One thing that came to mind is that how a teacher teaches history is very important. You must have had word with Nikhil sir also. You must have you saw how he studies or how he teaches the students. So how important is it to have a good teacher for history?
Yeah, we have very good teachers. Like I said, Nikhil sir is one of the most knowledgeable person and very again exam oriented person. He knows how to score well in the examination and also to develop deeper understanding in history. And the latest sir, the good part of sir is that he always update himself with the latest researches, the latest trends in the history subject, and he made the static history into a dynamic history, I should say. And I have been interacting with sir for almost 6-7 months, and I also got influenced and start seeing history as more dynamic subject than the static subject. So I think such kind of teachers are there now. I think so teachers again play a very great role. So I suggest go to mentors, talk to them. You'll develop better understanding. Don't treat history as a static subject or something very boring. It is very interesting. But again, teachers can make it more interesting, and they can also fetch you more marks, I should say.
Yeah, so Rajnikanth, thank you for coming to LevelUp IAS and sharing your thoughts and your strategy about history. And I know you are making some detailed videos also about history. And those of you who are who are interested and who are thinking of having history as their optional, you can go to his channel and also to LevelUp IAS, where we'll be putting the videos of Rajnikanth, and you can see the strategy and many valuable points you can get from that video. So thank you so much for coming, and I really congratulate you from the whole team of LevelUp IAS for achieving this rank, and finally you got into the list and you're getting what you've dreamt of.
Yes, thank you so much for interesting questions and interesting conversation, where I was able to give good suggestions and important suggestions to make history as favorite subject for many of the students now, and also people start choosing history as an optional where they can have edge in their prelims examination. So I also wish the students all the best for the next prelims examination.
So one last thing that you just want to advise students which they should not do, because you cleared prelims almost every time when you appeared for it. So can you just can you just shed some light on it?
Yeah, so one important suggestion is that revise more. Don't read any new content. Whatever you have read, be confident in that. Secondly, that focus on CSAT. At least spend some more time now on CSAT practicing, and only practice PYQs. Just PYQs for CSAT. Don't touch anything else. Maybe 1 or 2 mock tests, but otherwise last 4 or 5 years PYQs for CSAT is very very important. And focus again in the on the comprehension part. There are 27 questions from the comprehension thing. And then there you go. just be confident, don't take stress, do well.
And how did you deal with the 2023 ka paper? Because you cleared that and after that only you got this rank. So how was your reaction when you saw the GS paper and the CSAT paper? Because it is being talked about everywhere that the paper was very tough and CSAT was very tough. How did you deal with it?
One is my experience in the prelims examination that I always go with confidence. First thing. Secondly, I go with strategy. The fixed mindset that I'll do these many questions. And thirdly, I don't take stress during the examination. Don't take stress. You'll forget what you have read. So be confident. Whatever you do it. Don't think about the result. Now people start sitting. They give the exam and they're thinking about the result now on the same day. So don't do that. No, focus on the paper and be confident. That is what I can say. And attempt more number of questions. This because of the change in the trend, you do not have that options and all, and better to attempt more number of questions. I attempted I should say I attempted 100 questions this year in GS, and I scored 95 marks in the GS paper now. So I think that is again I implemented in my previous examination also, and I realized that the more number of questions I attempt, I was scoring well more, and 20 marks above the cutoff this year again. So that's what. Go with the strategy that I should say.
Thank you for this important, valuable advices that you gave. And thank you so much for coming and giving us your time.
Thank you so much.